Welcome to today's class. I warmly welcome to my Zoom audience and also the Facebook people who watch me online or offline. And I'm we are basically in continuity of our study series on consciousness, especially consciousness and its evolution in our human history. Um, and we basically, before going to our class today, I want to introduce our online lifelong study circle, which helps you to improve the quality of your life, answering the questions in your mind, very fundamental questions in your mind, and help your productivity in everyday life as well. Uh, because when you got the comprehensive answers of your related to your life, um, related to your spirit, soul, this world, business, personal development, then you show more productivity than when the person is confused with so many unresolved questions and thoughts. So this evolution of conscious, we started around 6 weeks ago, and it is a very comprehensive uh, study series. We have covered quite a lot of stuff, um, and we are here at the moment on 7 discoveries of life to increase the understanding spectrum of the consciousness. And in 7 discoveries, um, we are on, before we covered the consciousness in animal and then the consciousness of impact of love, then we did discover the consciousness also happening in people, especially who are in leadership position, who's not really in a personal or ordinary level, but it was more probably the iconic people in every country, every culture they have been producing. So we can also feel the consciousness in the leadership style as well. Then last week we discussed a very important thing, realism. If you missed that topic, realism, then you can go to my YouTube channel. I have already uploaded this episode as well. And today we are going to study basically last three discoveries out of 7 discoveries, and that are the safeguard, compassion, and counterbalance. So these are the 3 things which we are going to study. And what does it mean that these are the um, last 3 factors from which we can feel consciousness? I mean, consciousness is not something which is solid like this mobile phone. If you see in my hand, it's a mobile phone, okay? And I can witness that there is a mobile phone, okay? And its shape is this. It's a solid, okay? Um, it I know how to use this mobile phone and why to use this phone. And that looks very real, right? And I will say it is a real thing which I can feel, I can use, and it is a reality. Okay. That's how we believe on the things. Okay. But how I will believe on those things which I cannot touch, which I cannot smell, which I cannot see, which I cannot hear, which those things which physicality of those things does not exist. How I can feel them? It's a very fundamental question. So, is there any word or things living outside physicality? Like everything which has a physical form like we know that solid, liquid, and gas. Is there anything lies outside this solid, gas, and liquid? And and if it's yes, then how can feel it? Hmm. It means that we must have other senses. We must have our super senses which are responsible to feel the world and horizon outside our physical world. Isn't it? If that makes sense. Like the material world which is around me, around you, like you are watching me, you are listening me with a device on a phone, on a laptop, on a some tablet, some machine, and that in a thing. I want it. Oh, sorry. Oh, okay. I can tell to the mom. Okay. I will come and join you later. Sorry for so um yeah, so I was saying that the physical world we can sense, we can witness through my five senses. And these five senses is my taste, my eyes, my ear, okay, my hand to touch, okay, I can smell, okay, and also I can rationalize with my mind and I can name it. And that thing become part of my belief is that. But I will again ponder your mind and your spirit, your soul, to the other things which we cannot sense through my five senses, including mind. So that is why there are groups in our world who believe only on physical world, who believe that everything which we can sense and we can touch, we can think about, that exist and that must have a physical world. And that is only the reality. Okay. Mostly these people are rational people, they are scientist people, they belongs to science. And they people also some sort of philosophers as well. Yeah. So what about the people who believe that there are realities outside physical world? Then those people are called. Who are those people? What is the name of those people? Well, there are many group. We call them religious people somehow, but not all religious people. Spiritual people. Okay, spiritualists. We mostly call them. Okay, and we call them mystical people who believe in mystic world or horizons outside the physical world. So these are more popular world people, and they are found in every religion, every culture, beyond religion also. Okay, and we basically talk about those things, those people who have sensed, who brought that reality to the material believer scientists that look, you believe that you are that the man is made of cells, atoms, molecules, tissue, organs. Okay, it's a huge scientific phenomena within my body. But do you know that that body will decay, and what things make a difference that this body will stop to respond? This body will die one day, but which thing make me alive right now? Then the scientists or doctors say we don't know, and the spiritual person says it's a soul, it's a invisible energy behind this body who is driving you, who is dragging you, who is responsible you to come and do action and think in this world. So basically, we call it soul, or we call it metaphysical world, or in a deeper sense, we call it consciousness. The consciousness is behind me, who is right now, is acting on me, okay, is shaping me as a human, is shaping you to listen to you, to your world, to see your world. So consciousness is behind, okay? And that thing we are reading, we are trying to understand that thing, that how much deep topic we are learning, um, especially in my classes. You know the difference, how deep topics we study. So these are the highest teaching you can understand, or you can know the secrets of the life. And that's, I'm very confident about that. And we are basically um, learning 7 discoveries where we can feel that consciousness, which my 5 senses could not uh, usually feel it, you know, but still they are. So our 5th uh, topic is our safeguard. Through safeguards, we basically discover our consciousness. And that's we are going to read today. And then compassion, and then we will counterbalance. These are very important topic, and I want your deep attention to make a mega change in your life and thought. Um, so, um, so let's start our today's topic and reading, and then we will discuss as well, keeping in mind that all things I will not be explaining, but we will touch briefly because of the time thing. We will need to finish that 7 discoveries today. So are you with me now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So let's start our today's reading, and I would ask my colleague, Jenny, if you can start reading from the safeguards, that the matter of safeguard is the proof of the consciousness in our life. And what does it mean by safeguard? So let's ponder, let's think about and read it. Yeah, over to Jenny, please.
A study of Western civilization indicates that its overall level of consciousness is currently in decline, such that even formal education is no longer a safeguard against blatant non integrity and the gross falsehoods persuasive in the media and academia. The most practical countermeasures are: how can we fix it? Spiritual alignment with truth, which facilitates a favorable shift in brain chemistry; intellectual sophistication via familiarity with the great books of the Western world; awareness of the map of consciousness; advancing one's own level of consciousness by following and practicing verified spiritual teachings; and principles of discernment. For example, see chapters 8 and 9 of this book.
Excellent, thank you. It's a great reading. So basically, it's a bottom line of this discovery that one of the think how we feel consciousness, how we can help ourselves to see beyond physicalities of this world is safeguard. And because like it is a motto of my Sunday classes as well, because we learn those things which our schools, universities, colleges, they don't teach. Your parents, your media, my parents never taught me. And that is a missing element which made me very incomplete, very partial, and fragmented minded person. And that's why I'm trying to fill the gap by providing those things in those Sunday classes. So this very topic of consciousness in refer with the safeguard is basically that uh, we can leverage and we can feel, uh, we can secure ourselves, our generation, our children by providing these things. And one of the thing is spiritual alignment with the truth. Whatever uh, we speak, we say, does it align with any truth? We never taught, we never teach. I mean, my president or my prime minister of the country never talk about truth, but we only talk about the things which work for us or which work in politics to deceive people, or not only deceive people, just let's think positively. We talk about um, only very partial things, very little real things which matter for us. For example, how how the inflation can be controlled, how we can control the increasing debt rates, especially in American European people, how we can make law to control the birth control, especially in America, I'm talking about, uh, how we can, I mean, help the people to start their own businesses, how we can help the people to, to win the trust with our party, who is a ruling party. So these are the things which is actually nothing to do with reality. I'm talking about ultimate reality or the spiritual truths. Okay, these are all things which we hear and watch on Fox News, CNN, BBC, but it does not make me happy in deeply. Okay, because these things are not for any alignment with truth. So we need to facilitate these things, that uh, one time will come when everyone will talk about truth, when everyone talk straight, simple, okay, non-sarcastic way, very simple, and without any fear, uh, and when people did not any insecurity and those things. So that is one thing. The other thing is intellectual sophistication. We need, of course, and this Sunday class and my Sunday classes are for building your intellectual sophistications. Okay, um, so these things has to be spread all across the world in academia, especially in academia. I feel very pity on my students, American student, British student, Indian student, Middle East student, that they have such a vague, such a unclear, poor vision of life and very limited vision of life. They, their spectrum of success, the spectrum of future is very, very limited. And that is a very poor academia we have in all across the world. And that I'm talking about the best developed countries in the world, such as United States, Britain, German, Australian, okay? What about 75% people or countries of rest of the world who are underdeveloped or very, very premature stage at the moment? What the education system will bringing to the people there? Can you believe that? How far we are from very poor academia in our schools and college, uh, including developed countries, and there is no anything is underdeveloped country. Can you imagine that a student in Somalia or a student in Nigeria or a student in Afghanistan or a student in Pakistan, what the pathetic education quality they will be receiving as compared to the student who is educating in a British school or American school. Even so, uh, it's a very, very big challenge. Okay, that's why we need this consciousness, uh, and this awareness of consciousness only help ourselves to improve our education system. Number three is awareness of the map of the consciousness. If you know that what I'm talking about, the map of the consciousness, how it has improved my life as a layman, and I must show, okay, that your life will also have improved after this map of consciousness by designed by Dr. Psychiatrist and a spiritual guru, Dr. David Hawking. I love it. It's like my outline uh, or a thinking origin of my mind when I'm thinking about something. That this map of consciousness is a mind-blowing creation, and he's saying that that map of consciousness should be spread if we want to save ourselves, uh, and also by advancing one's own level of consciousness. Okay, spiritual teaching. The teaching which I do mostly are the spiritual teachings. Okay, you can verify from any religion, you can verify or even go to any highest book, I mean, book of truth, which you think it is. Um, so these things will help us to enable our spiritual world and discovery of consciousness. The sixth most important thing is about compassion. That and compassion is a very, very tricky thing. Okay, and in this episode we talking about very deep level of compassion. Okay, and the compassion is not only understanding someone's pain or misery. Compassion is very deep, a very deep thing, basically. And here our uh, touch is, our approach is to go to see compassion through spiritual side. Have you seen compassion as a physical entity? Have you seen compassion anywhere in the world? But but compassion does exist or not? You do practice compassion as a compassionate person or not? Everyone does, or everyone who has little bit higher consciousness, he or she have this compassion. So it means that there is absolutely truth of compassion exist. If somebody is not compassionate, of course, not all people are same. It does mean that that person does not believe on spirituality, and that person will sooner or later see its consequences, because compassion or element of compassion is as real as you are watching me right now, is as real as you are holding the device which you are listening or watching me. But of course, we cannot see it as such. Only we can do action and feel it. And how we can feel it, how we can do it, um, that's we are going to read it. Of course, it's a deep topic and we are short of time. We will more read it, and if you want to explain it, some of the point which we will read from the book, um, You can stop me. You can put a question on my video, and I will explain to you at my best what I know. Um, so uh, before going to compassion topic, I want to tell you about a very important reality, and that is ego. I often mention and curse ego as well, isn't it? That ego is bad, ego is dirty, ego is evil, and everything we do is because of ego, and ego makes us feel guilty, ego make us in fear. Ego is a darkness, ego does not exist, but we feel that non-existing as a existence thing. You know that we talk a lot in the past. Jenny must know is about ego. I mostly talk about, or we mostly read and understand in Sunday classes about ego. Yes, we do. The ego, basically, ego is a deception, no doubt about that. It does mean that ego does not exist as such, but we have portrayed as something very killing thing within ourselves, which drag us, especially when we feel guilty, fear, shame, apathy, okay, pride. So when we have these lower conscious values, then it means we are driven by ego, which actually does not exist, but is still driving us. Can you imagine that? Can you see that? Can you feel the innocency within me, within us, that a thing which does not exist is still dragging me? How pathetic we are. But it is a reality that we have made our ego within ourselves, and that ego is a driving force within us. That's why we are in a lower conscious emotion such as fear, and fear is a mother of all evil. Guilty, apathy, pride, depression, aggression, anger. So these are all because of the ego inside us. Okay, now if we have these lower emotions because of the ego, it means that we don't know how to control it. And that's why it's stopping us to go to the higher consciousness, to the higher emotions such as willingness, courage, love, peace, intellect. So these things we are not approaching. So compassion basically help us to reach these higher emotion through ego. Okay, because we cannot kill ego, but we can control ego. Okay, ego can be our pet, like a dog and cat and horse or lamb. But let's think positively and let's believe that there is ego, and that ego is my pet. And if I can pet my ego, then it means ego is no more harmful for me. And that element will become source of myself as a passionate, compassionate person. Okay. And now I will not, when I will feel compassion, then I will not see ego as a curseful element. Now ego will be my pet. Ego will give me the ladder to approach to the higher consciousness, to the higher emotion, according to map of consciousness. And that's we are going to read it. Now, before we going to read this, one important thing which I want to tell you, very important. Have anybody know about Freud? Freud, the father of modern psychology. Anybody knows about Freud?
Well, I don't know.
Okay. The Freud, the founder of modern psychology, Freud, he talks about when we are in guilt, out of our guilt, we repress our animal nature. And that animal nature, we start to project on other people and world around us, including our God. And I will reflect my own character defects to my God, to the other people. And that is truth proven by psychologist Freud, who's a founder. What does it mean that? It means that myself, my inner defect, when I have defect, when I have poor character, when I have what we call it, my own animal instinct or animal nature. Now, animal nature it means that I cannot live without hunger, without fulfill my hunger. I cannot live without sex. I cannot live without thirst. I cannot live without, like a normal animal instinct or nature does. Okay. Now, these are limitation within myself, and they generate a lot of other defects. And the pathetic thing is, I will start to project these defects on other people which are surrounding me. For example, if I'm an angry person or I have some problem, I start to curse my wife. I start to curse my husband or partner, or I will blame it to my parents, or I will blame to my God. So these defects, basically the God which we have created ourselves, or we call it deities, like there are Hindu gods, there are Muslim God, Christian God, Jews God, or general phenomena of God. So basically, if we define the God, you have made your own God based on your own nature of your defects inside you. For example, you are a very frightened person. You have an element which is called fear, and that fear is occupy over your personality and character. And now you will project this fear on God, on your God, and you will start to portray a God is very tyrant. We need to fear from God. You will portray your God as something tyrant king, that if you do this sin, the God will chop you. If you will do this, God will put you in the hell. And that's the how religion we are forming based on a fear. So basically, that all have a missing element of being compassion. And how does it see? Let's try to read it quickly. There are 4 paragraphs, and we will read all these paragraphs one by one. So we will start with Jenny, and then second paragraph, second page, Javeria will read, and third page I will read, and then Jenny. And then we will cover this compassion quickly. But during this, if you have any question or thought, never feel shy and just try to share with. And because more we will share, more we will learn. So I would ask Jenny if you can read it, and then the next page, Javeria will read.
It is thanks to the ego's tenacity that anyone is even alive to read this book. When we view the ego from an evolutionary perspective through the millennia, an understanding arises that allows for compassion. The ego is not our enemy, but rather a pet to watch over. Instead of treating it with condemnation, hatred, and guilt, the way to de-energize it is by viewing it objectively for what it truly is. That is a vestation, or a vestigial remnant of our evolutionary origins. Paradoxically, the ego is reinforced by condemnation, labeling it as sin, repenting with sackcloth and ashes, and wallowing in guilt. Such approaches merely utilize the ego to attack the ego, thereby reinforcing it.
Yes, thank you. It's a great reading. So we basically feeling here compassion through ego. So that is very important. Okay. Like like I said, the ego is not a physical thing, but it does exist in our mind and in our nature. But from here, we can conclude that there is a compassion, and compassion is a reflection of consciousness. And that is the discovery we try to figure it out. Yeah, Javeria, continue, read, please.
As Freud as Freud
Yeah.
discovered out of guilt,
Freud,
we
as
Freud,
Freud.
as Freud, as Freud discovered out of guilt, we repress our animal nature and then project it onto other dignity that purportedly pure portently has the same character, the fierce as the worst human. The ego is dissolved not by the new din not by denunciation or self-hatred, and which are expressions of ego, but they begin and and non-moralistic acceptance and compassion that arise out of understanding its intrinsic nature of origin. Although guilt and representance repentance may have a certain paragamic paragam gamtic paragamtic
Pragmatic.
pragmatic pragmatic usefulness for the brief period in the one spiritual evolution. It is to be noted from examining of the map of consciousness that guilt, hate, self-hatred, regret, despondency, and all such negative wait, all such negative position positionalities are the bottom of the scale, where forgiveness, love, acceptance, and joy are at the top and lead to enlightenment.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's a great reading. Thank you. And let me continue it as well. The map of consciousness reveals that the world provides an infinite panorama, and by playing our part in being what we are, we serve others. Each one of us serve others merely by being here. People in the lower level of consciousness are not bad for being what they are. They serve us by forcing us to recontextualize their reality and their value. We end up respecting them all. As mistaken as we think they might be, we can nonetheless respect someone who is willing to sacrifice their life for country, God, or whatever they believe they are doing it. So here is one important point to a little bit brief, that when the people who are in low consciousness, okay, sometimes they are not bad, okay? Because based on their lower consciousness and the emotions related with lower consciousness, they sometimes help them, and they use this emotion to save their nations as well, whichever they are belongs to. For example, in form of war, the war or battlefield itself is not desirable, okay? But we know that our whole history of the world, we have been uh, in warfare. We have been fighting with each other, with one another, with different nations. They want to control other lands militarily, okay, by sending, by using bow and arrow, missile, tanks, nowadays bombs and drone attacks and stuff. So these wars have been, and sometime if these war, of course, these all wars is due to our lower consciousness. There is no such thing higher consciousness. With lower consciousness emotion, these wars we do. When one country attack on other country, it means they are living with lower consciousness. But it sometimes not bad. He is saying sometimes we do these wars for sake of with the name of God, for name with the name of the country, for the name of nationalism, for saving the country and blah blah. But of course, on a higher level, it is not desirable. The nations are not built based on what you fight with other country, but the nations are made when most people are consciously aware. When you are more aware, spiritually aware, these nations are more aware. America does not um, uh, claim that America is the strongest militarily country in the world. Therefore, the America um, is the number one country. It is not the identity of America. America, American or American people are most of the people, or there are millions of enlightened people or spiritual people in America. Because of them, America is number one. Japan is number one, not because of the Japanese technology and stuff like that. Japan and China and Indian, they are number one. They are the pioneer nations in the world because of their um, spiritual or conscious people are there more than other countries. Okay, so this is our physical deception in which we we think that our lower conscious emotions are responsible for making us the uh, number one nation or number one country in the world. Not like that. Always you excel in the world, you become successful, truly successful, based on your higher conscious level. Okay. But if you are successful with lower conscious level, more likely this is your deception, you are involved. And sooner or later you will collapse or you will be destroyed by your ego, because you are driven by your lower conscious emotions, which does not which do not sustain for longer period of time, and you will eventually collapse as a person, as a community, or as a country. Okay, so this is we need to clear. And the last page in the compassion, I would ask Jenny if you can read it, please, is about the war which I just mentioned. Yeah, Jenny, are you there? Okay, so let me read it for she can read for next one. The war itself serves the evolution of consciousness by providing a way for millions of people to cross over from cowardice to courage as they walk through the hail of bullets in the name of higher principle, God, country, king, or family. Warfare is the way that men in the role of warrior have historically crossed over the critical line of 200. This 200 is a conscious energy level. Uh, Women have traditionally made the same step through childbirth, risking death and often dying for the sake of birthing new life. Therefore, nothing in the evolution of consciousness needs to be judged or condemned, for each expression has served the whole by virtue of what it was at the time. So that's a short description about the how compassion element make us realize that there is a consciousness and we are being driven by consciousness. And the last thing or the last topic for today is about counterbalance. The counterbalance is an idea, is a reality that the 85% people of the world, of the planet Earth, are living below 200. So then what happens? How we are living still in this world? How we are alive now? We are happy now still. Even the 85% people have a negative traits. Anybody knows that if the majority of the people are in lower consciousness, Jenny, are you with us?
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you. So I'm asking a question, Jenny, that if 85% people of our planet Earth living in a lower consciousness, such as shame, jealousy, depression, hatred, pride, fear, apathy, etc. And 15% people of our planet are living in higher conscious. So the majority is with lower consciousness. But still, as a planet Earth, we are surviving, and we are surviving very well. Do you have any clue that what makes us alive, how we are surviving still very beautifully, very happily still? Any idea?
As a whole,
Yeah.
I would say the 15% that's at a higher conscious level, when those people are leading us, then we do better as a society. But then when we're being led by the 85% that's not of that conscious level, then we don't do as well. There's failure. So it
Yeah.
just depends on who is in charge, really.
Who's in charge? Okay.
Yeah.
So 50,
Just like an
15,
organization, think about it. If you're working in a company and you
yeah,
have a leader with high integrity and, a good positive environment where everybody's doing well and there's a growth opportunity, the team just does exceptionally well. There's results, there's success. It's a place where people want to come to work. They can't wait. And then let's just say that leader retires and a new person comes in who's, like you say, negative and jealous and, doesn't have integrity and wants to, keep everybody down. Then all of a sudden that same business doesn't do well and it begins to fail and people stop coming to work and it's just not the same team because the leadership has changed. So it very much depends on who's in charge, absolutely, in any
in charge.
organization or even a
Yeah.
country.
Absolutely. So you mean in other sense that if we are surviving on our planet Earth, it is because the 15% population are consciously awakened or they are spiritually more strong and then the 85%, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, excellent. Uh, uh,
It's
Javedia, do
14
you have
hours.
any answer for this question? Or
You already answered.
okay, excellent. So it is a right answer, Jenny. That's right. I agree with you. And this is also our next quick topic, which we will finish in 5 minutes. And what does it mean? It's a counterbalance. The counterbalance mean we are on this planet. For example, let's take an analogy of the company, of the organization, which Jenny just mentioned. For example, in a big company, there are 100 employees, and 15 employees are in leadership role with high integrity, with tremendous opportunity, and let's say they are spiritually conscious people as well. They are on a higher conscious level as well. Now, the 85% people of the company are on lower conscious level, or they have a negative emotions as well. But our question is, will still the whole company will survive and survive well? The answer is yes. Why? Because of the counterbalance. And counterbalance element means the one person, one enlightened person, one higher conscious person is equal to thousands of lower conscious persons, and that he or she alone fills the gap of created by thousands of lower conscious person. And that is a beauty of our planet world as well. That, for example, in one town, there are many criminals and lower emotion people living. But on the neighboring one town or city, there are a couple of bunch of great people lives with the higher consciousness. Now, these higher consciousness people will fulfill the gaps which is created by that city's negative people, and that's how our world is maintaining its balance by counterbalancing itself on a spiritual level. And that's why people are very, very, what we call it, in amazed mode that every country has too much corruption, too much like humanitarian crisis, but still we have millionaires in the world. We have amazing, great spiritual people in the world, and blah, blah. So, and how we are surviving because of this counterbalance, okay? And that counterbalance is the answer of many unresolved questions which we have, that how we are surviving. If you see on the screen, one individual at higher consciousness on 700 counterbalances 70 million individuals who are below 200. Is what a key figure we are hearing at. And it is not my saying, it is, this research has been done by Dr. David Hawkins. So one individual only at 700 counterbalance fills the gap of 70 millions other people who are at below 200. What a big, I will say, is it's a secret of peace of our planet. Next, one individual at level 600 counterbalances 10 millions individual who are living below 200. It is mind-blowing. Now this 700 is the conscious level which a reasonable, a peaceful person can achieve on an individual level. That person maybe is in the church, maybe in the temple or in the masjid, mosque, or in a synagogue, or that person may be present anywhere, but we don't know. Okay. But because of the positive energy revealing or calibrating from that person, and that's why that energy is enormous to fill the gap of negative energy gap, which is created by 70 million individuals. Okay. Now, if you see at the end, the 12 individuals at 700 equal to one avatar at 1000. And that avatar, many people rated Jesus Christ, Prophet Muhammad, and Siddharth Gautama Buddha, and other things. This is just a estimate we are saying. So, and that's how they are generating too much positive, gigantic positive energy in the world. And that is maintaining our whole planet as a peaceful planet in this at this time. And that is our today's topic. Let's quickly read it and then we will finish our thing. So I would ask Javeria if you can start reading it.
Counterbalance. Consciousness calibrates researches reveals that approximately 92% of society's problems arises from people who calibrate below 200, and their overall financial cost to the sanitary citizenry is too enormous to calculate. Thus a society that is overly permissive, or supports non-integrity, face and astronomical 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 price, not only in quality of life but also in every area of it, down to just simple everyday physical safety.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Javeria. I will read it because integrous individuals do not typically grasp the fact that they are actually in the minority. It bears repeating that only 15% of the world's population is above the critical consciousness level of 200. However, the collective power of that 15% has the weight to counterbalance the negativity of the remaining 85% of the world's population. Because the scale of the power advances logarithmically, a single avatar at a conscious level of 1000 can and does in fact the total counterbalance of the collective negativity of all mankind. Kinesiologic testing has shown this figure. And this figure, I can add, and the next paragraph, if you, Jenny, you can read it, please.
This one right here, the one individual at level 700.
Yeah.
One individual at level 700 counterbalances 70 million individuals below level 200. One individual at level 600 counterbalances 10 million individuals below level 200. One individual at 500 counterbalances 750,000 individuals below level 200. One individual at level 400 counterbalances 400,000 individuals below level 200. One individual at level 300 counterbalances 90,000 individuals below level 200. 12 individuals at level 700 equal one avatar at 1000.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, continue to read, please.
Were it not for these counterbalances, humankind would self-destruct out of the sheer mass of its unopposed negativity. However, the difference in power between a loving thought and a fearful thought is so enormous as to be beyond the capacity of the human imagination to even comprehend. We can see from the analysis above that even a few loving thoughts during the course of the day more than counterbalance all our negative thoughts by their sheer power.
Excellent. And last, you can continue read, please, and finish it. Yeah, Jamie, you can continue to read, please. Yeah.
The only way to enhance one's power in the world is by increasing one's integrity, understanding, and capacity for compassion. If the diverse populations of humankind can be brought to this realization, the survival of human society and the happiness of its members are more secure. Simply knowing that an increase in one's level of consciousness reduces negativity in the world motivates the intention to evolve up the scale.
Excellent. Excellent reading. Thank you. So that was mind-blowing information or secrets we just learned about our world, and especially when we learned in a numeric conclusions about something, and that because our mind loves numeric or figures, and when any conclusion we discuss in form of numbers, then it more resonates, it more sounds settled in our mind than if just thought description without numeric descriptions. So the bottom line of the counterbalance is because the higher conscious people, the higher conscious soul, they generate the positive thoughts in the mind, okay? And there is a difference between a positive thought and fearful thought. A thought which have a tremendous positive energy is million times much more stronger than a fearful thought which we continuously generate. So for example, according to science, if we are generating 70,000 thoughts an average in a day, then how many thoughts we are generating unconsciously or knowingly as a positive thoughts or as a negative thoughts. So I can say maybe 5% will be positive thoughts and 95% out of 70,000 words which we think every day may be the negative. And that's why we are not happy every day. That's why our body show disability in form of diseases. That's why the healing does not work most of the time. That's why we produce toxicity of emotions when we're living with other people and we have fight most of the time or counter argument at least. When we feel criminal with a criminal mind, that's why because of our too much negative thoughts we have. And every negative thoughts have a fear on the background. And that's why we are sharing toxicity in the world. But the good news is, if we have a very positive thought, like avatar, like individual who is living on a conscious level 600, 700, 400, their positive thought are much stronger and can fill the gap created by your negative thoughts. And that is the one of the best teaching, best sharing I can do with you. That is the best reading I can give to you for your home take. So that's it. That's our 7 discoveries from the conscious level. Animals, love, leadership, realism, safeguards, compassion, and counterbalance. So these 7 components, through we know the consciousness. We can discover the consciousness, okay? But this overall consciousness evolution is continue. The evolution of consciousness reading is continue. It's not finished yet. There are a couple of truth and some question answer. I will bring it for you so that we have a comprehensive in and highly quality of study we can learn in the topic of consciousness. But remember, you will not win any World Cup or any medal out of this study. Only you can pure your soul. Only you will be qualify your life by giving 1 hour every Sunday uh, in my classes. And I'm student as like you. I'm just putting these things come across with you, and we both share with each other, and we contemplate, we little bit discuss, and that's it. And that's how it is helpful for me. So it may be helpful for you. And that's, let's spread this word. If somebody can join us next Sunday as well. So thank you very much for your valuable time. And we'll continue reading this conscious level next Sunday, same time, with a different topic. Thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you, Maratib. Have a great week.
Bye-bye.